that.
Okay, so all in favour? If you vote for yourself. Okay.
Shall we go that one?
We can do it, yeah.
That's comfortable.
Can I say at this point that we perhaps should say that Vincent's
Oh, yeah.
only
Yeah.
so sorry.
Oh, no, actually, do you want to?
Purely that he's expressed to me that he wanted to stand down as chairman.
Yes, I think we gather he's rather busy.
Yes.
It's been noticeable. Yes. Right. Thank you for your confidence, and we'll try and make a good job of this. Number 2, election of vice chairman. I propose Councillor Stubbs.
Yeah, no, I'll second that.
Are you happy to be nominated?
Yes.
All in favour? Right, done. Apologies.
It's perfect.
We really covered that. Any declarations of interest?
To approve it. Apologies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Yeah. All in favour? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Carried. Right.
Members are asked to declare if they have any pecuniary interest or any other interest in items on the agenda. No. Okay. Minutes, we have a slight problem in that I was in Australia on the last meeting, so Councillor Stubbs was
All I would say is I noted the minutes.
The minutes are noted, and we can revisit them if necessary.
Yeah.
Number 4, deputations by a member of the public. I think you're not going to avail yourself of that, but you're going to be a ward member.
Yes, please.
Do you want to do that now?
Well, there was a bit of confusion with the chairman saying later, which is what I thought it was, but I'll go with whatever you decide,
As a
Clark.
board member, so Martin would have 2.
Well, I prefer to stick to the agenda, so which one do you want to speak on?
It's on item number 2, Burley Road, replacement UPVC windows.
You can speak before number 2 then. We'll do number 1 first, right?
Yeah,
okay.
That's how I
Right,
thought
Oakham
it.
Studios, can you put that up? This is the ex-Crawler factory, which then became another factory shop, then became vacant after a sale. I think we're all familiar with the site, aren't we?
Yes.
I've got slightly mixed views. I mean, it's good use of the warehouse. On the other hand, reading the site, I don't think Councillor Stubbs can open it, but there's a number of neighbour objections. So I think, you know,
I have been spoke to recently.
oh right, okay. There are concerns about noise, traffic at night, and so forth. So as I say, I've got mixed views, but over to you.
I picked up on the fact that soundproofing is going to go in. And personally, I feel that the reasons for traffic and noise and that is not a reason that we're able to turn it down. But what I would suggest perhaps we consider doing is we approve it. We approve it providing soundproofing is adequate.
Yeah, I can appreciate that they would have an initial concern about this, and it's very difficult before anything actually happens to know how much this would impinge upon neighbours. But if it is to go ahead, then you're right. I think soundproofing would be essential. I'm not entirely sure the period of time over which this is going to be in use during the day, but if it was so late in the evening, that would be worse than halfway through the morning, I suppose. I have no other worries about it, but yes, I think we would need to make a note about soundproofing.
He's not supposed to do that. There's somebody around the door and he's going to ask. He's speaking to them.
It's your new townhouse.
So that's my.
Yes, can I slightly amend that? Yes, I think the soundproofing is essential, but when I was on the Licensing Act Committee, when we were looking at public houses and we're getting the same sort of thing, we put a condition that the doors should be kept closed, because in the summer, if they open the doors, the soundproofing becomes irrelevant.
Yeah.
So if you're in agreement, perhaps
Yeah,
we
I
can
think
do that.
Yes.
So
Alternative sensible.
And windows closed.
yes, yes. I've also had a contact from our tree warden. There's a very rare cherry at the front, and perhaps the planners can consider putting a preservation order on it, because one is always worried when there is a change of use that suddenly trees get knocked down. So again, with your agreement, perhaps we can put that down.
Yes.
I think they're all valid points.
Right. Is that clear?
So to approve, but to make sure the soundproofing is adequate, the doors and windows are kept shut during the summer, and to put TPO on the tree.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So can I propose that?
I propose.
All in favour? Yes. Just to speak on this?
Yes.
You have 3 minutes.
That's fine. But quickly, Chairman, this place that you spoke to about first, they actually are in a very enclosed residential area, and there's never been any complaints about their activity. Just a point of interest there. It's behind the laundress and people live there. Anyway, I wanted to give a deputation on item number 2, because obviously I'm very interested as a ward councillor and a resident that we keep some of the niceties of our ward. Forgive me if I get the wrong title, because I don't have a memory for everything, but the gentleman who purchased and his family the property, who purchased what is probably known as the police house, which had connections historically with Oakham School and chaplains connected to the school. He's looked into a lot of history of it. When they purchased the property, they spent a substantial sum of money really doing a great job on improving it. And my opinion is that if you now were to approve or recommend that Rutland County Council approves putting in UPVC windows, I think that's going to detract from the visual niceties of the building, and it shouldn't go ahead. There are the possibility of wooden double glazed framed windows. Secondary glazing doesn't work, but UPVC, as I've read, is not very appropriate. But anyway, thank you for listening.
Yes, can we just clarify? I mean, on that, it does say timber.
Yes, and on the piece of the agenda, I thought it said UPVC. I'm sure it was. Forgive me if I've now made another, because I photographed the agenda originally, so I've had difficulties.
Just reports and doors and windows.
Right.
And now it says timber.
Okay, well I apologise and wasted your time.
There's no harm done, because I mean it's important that it is in keeping. In fact, on the website.
Painted timber.
All right. Well, I'm totally, because I keep thinking when you get replacement windows that it is plastic.
There was, I think the confusion, but there was one last month that was PVC, which we turned down.
Yeah.
You're quite right. Listed buildings.
I'm not sure this is listed though, but it is in the conservation area, I believe.
It is listed, yeah.
It's
listed.
Right. Building application.
Normally we have it twice on there. It's listed. Yeah, it does. Okay. Well, I apologise if I wasted your time.
In fact, just further background. I mean, on the website there's a picture of the existing and a picture of an earlier one. Yeah, that's right. It tends to be an improvement, and it is timber. So
Yeah. Yes, the earlier one was awful, wasn't it? It's much better. And it's timber, so.
So that if I just conclude that I hope that it is going to not detract from how nice it looks at the moment, I think that will solve it. Thank you, Chairman.
thank you. Yes. Any members want to?
Well, I picked up on the fact that it is timber replacing timber, and that's essential. And it may be wise to say that we just want to emphasise that no UPVC should be used.
Yes.
It's a listed building, and it would be against planning regulations for. And this is where a conservation officer must.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, the other thing I picked up on, the application is being submitted by chartered architects, and I'm sure they wouldn't put their name to anything that wasn't as it should be.
That's a good point.
Did you want to add anything?
No, I picked up obviously on the timber and the style, and it seems to me within keeping, and should be fine.
Do you propose approval?
I'm quite prepared to propose.
Yeah,
All in favour? 2016-1227 Paul next door, isn't it? So I did think we looked at this before.
They're revised, and
Revised.
we approved it.
Yeah, can,
The original one.
Chair, if I may, I spoke to the case officer to find out why it's been revised and the difference, and there's no bin store. Bin stores have been removed.
Right.
In the original one there was a bin store, but the bin store now has been removed. That's the only difference.
Yes. Well, again, on the website, as far as I could see, the neighbour, he had concerns about elevation and the bins.
Yes.
Again, coming back to the bins.
Yes.
So if that's now been sorted,
Yes. That's the only alteration, according to the case officer.
yes. Well, we did approve before, so we approve again. So we approve the revise.
Yeah, I think so. Certainly when I've looked at it more or less the first time, obviously, as I wasn't much involved previously, because it's set well back, it seems to be a reasonable design, and would improve the use of the building.
You want to propose this one for change?
Yeah, okay. Yes. All in favour? Good. 1136 affordable dwellings. Again, this is a bit similar to one we looked at a month or two ago.
We approved that as well.
Yeah, we approved that. I mean, this one is going to DC next week, so if anyone wants to go, they can hear it or speak. But it's a disused site, and the affordable housing does give it a lot of brownie points in terms of planning. 8 parking spaces. They do say it's a bit out of keeping, but it's a very varied roofscape in the area.
Chair, if I may?
Yes, sure.
Again, I spoke to the case officer because it's revised, and I wanted to know exactly what it was. And it seems that from the original drawing, the whole thing is moved slightly to the left. That's and the plots 4 and 5 are now staggered from the original plan. That's the only alteration.
Yes, that's what I was picking up. There was one neighbour objection being overlooked, and this did help this movement.
Yes.
There'd been antisocial behaviour in the area, so to develop it would be a good thing.
Yes, I think it would be a good thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm quite happy to ask these to approve it.
Yeah, to me it looks, the design looks fine. I like the varied roofscape actually. I think that makes it look less regimented and a good use of derelict sites.
It's going to improve the area, and I seem to remember reading that members of the public think it's a welcome change.
Yes.
So I'm quite happy to propose it.
Yeah, I'm seconding that. All in favour? Right. Which is an advert illuminated sign 2 to 4 Grosvenor House Road. It's your ward. Do you want to comment on this? Yeah, I did see an email.
I don't actually think, Chairman, it's appropriate for me to comment on it. I haven't commented directly to Rutland County Council's Planning Department due to contacts to me, welcome, from the director of the company.
Right, okay. Give you a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with the fact that it's illuminated. However, I think there must be certain rules and regulations as far as timing of illumination. appropriate periods when it is not on.
Yeah, yes, I took a stroll down there this morning in the car. It's remarkable how many signs there are which have illumination.
Yes.
The Age UK one's got it on at the moment down there, for example, just along the road. So it's not as though there are signs there which are not illuminated. I must have counted about a dozen, I would imagine, on that stretch of road. But yes, you're right, the timing of that may be a factor.
Yes, I picked Age UK when I was parking this
Yeah.
A lot of them, there's illumination, and they've got illumination
That's illumination onto the side, yes, but there are also quite a number which have illumination overhanging signs.
Yes.
There's a couple of, I think, barber shops down there which have illuminated
Yes,
signs.
that one looks as if the light source is directed straight onto the side.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think that's quite so intrusive,
No.
but it would be nice if it could be turned off at certain times, because as it says, it's an advert really, isn't it? It's,
I'm not sure if there isn't a regulation stating it should be.
There is
There is some.
Maybe a county council regulation, which of course, whether the council have been approving a number of these things over the years, I don't know.
Can I just, I know it's a privilege to speak here, but can I just ask that maybe the chairman can clarify with the planning department what the policy is, because quite often I can't find it, but we are often told that there is a policy where some shops are not allowed illuminated signs, but the fact is, as you pointed out there yourself, that it's illuminated from the outside. That may be the loophole, but I think as a committee you need to have a better understanding, no criticism, of what the policy actually is. And I think they should be able to tell you, because quite often we're told there shouldn't be any shop lights on in Mill Street, the High Street, once they're closed, but is that definite?
yes, okay.
And others like Age UK, as you mentioned, are like Blackpool illuminations 24 hours a day.
Can I add to that, Chair? I think it's a good idea for us to be informed so that in future we know immediately what that is and we can apply it to any application.
Yeah, I would agree, I think, with that. It's difficult to make a judgment unless we know what the facts are.
Yes, well, I'm totally in sympathy with that. In Uppingham High Street, no illumination at all. Blanket ban, and it looks very good in the evening. Okay, the shop window lights, but no illuminated signs, and it makes it look more like a Chiltern village.
Yes.
And Oakham isn't bad, but I think it could be improved. So I will try and find out what the policy is, and maybe we can add to the policy. We've got our town plan in embryo stage, and there's another route.
So we need, before we can approve it,
Approve with the
we need to add that condition.
It's a fairly modest sign, as we say, it's outside illumination, 800 by 600, so it's not very big.
No.
But yeah, let's learn the policy. So approval subject to it being
Yes.
within the bounds of the regulations.
I probably support that.
Yeah, 9%.
All in favour? Right, therefore close the meeting. Thank you for your contributions and support.
Thank you, Chair.